Okay, guys, the floor is for you.
Thanks. Hello everyone. My name is Siri, and I will talk about the Divide and Map now, the Daemon project. I will start with the missing maps, where I am volunteering for 3 years. We are contributing to the OpenStreetMap by mapping the developing countries. These maps are then used by humanitarian organizations like Doctors Without Borders and Red Cross, and of course the local communities. How we do that? We organize mapathons. These are mapping events for many people. These people came, we give them some area we need to map, and they do their job. The idea is to split the large area to multiple squares, and each mapper may log the square, map the square, then unlock it, mark is done, and things like that. And this is the approach to map large area. We use tasking manager by humanitarian OpenStreetMap team developers. I experienced the transition from V2 to V3, and I'm looking around the GitHub where the development happens, because the tasking manager V4 should be released soon. And there is another tool, Mapping North Korea, which is similar to tasking manager, but just for North Korea. But the software is the same, or idea is the same. Just have large area, split to squares, and let mappers map it. I think that there are some issues with the hot tasking manager. There is a lot of ideas like machine learning and artificial intelligence to implement into the tasking manager, but there is a primary functionality that should be kept. Like if the and it's next point, but it corresponds. If the service is slow, that is bad. The next thing is that the project has its own project manager, but I think that it's not the right thing. I think that the community manager that somehow communicate what the community really needs and the developers really implement it would be more beneficial. For example, this performance, it's kind of terrible. The last but not least, the closed tools used for contributing to the project. If you want to be some advanced user that provide feedback to the hot developers, you need to log in through the Google form. You can read the meeting notes on the Google Drive. You need to sign up for the Slack or request sign up. They will approve it and so on. I don't like this approach, so I think they do it wrong. Therefore, divide and map now. Here we are. The project is split to multiple repositories. It's done explicitly to enable the focus for one thing. So, if anyone wants to implement new client, it needs to do the same I had to do implementing my client. Therefore, I think that explicitly split, it's one thing that is really, really good. There is at least server, which is just JSON API to the PostGIS database. There is client that is for mappers who contribute to the OpenStreetMap by mapping these developing countries. There is manager used by the guys who need to create some area to map. Of course, you may use the preprocessed areas from map swipe, analytics, or the GeoJSON, because the input is JSON polygon. If you developing some service, mapping service, and you mean it seriously, you definitely need JSON plugin. The last thing is deployment. You have a project and you want to deploy it, but the deployment doesn't is not related to developing tools. So if you develop the server, you are Python programmer and developer, you don't care about Docker because you don't use Docker or you don't know what is Docker. Therefore, there is another split. So these are at least these repositories used. There is a place to chat or to communicate. The main communication channel is Gitter or Jitter. It's because the history is open, so you may just click link and see the whole history. If you want to contribute to discussion, you may log in with the GitLab account, GitHub account, or Twitter account. Nobody needs to approve you. You just log in and contribute. And the idea is to let the mappers communicate with client developers. Client developers should listen to the mappers and implement things into their client. And if they can't implement it because server doesn't support it, then the client developers communicate with the server developers to implement the needed functionality. Of course, each client would create its own communication channel with its own mappers community. The GitLab issues, all these repositories are available on GitLab. So the communication channel of what should be implemented and why it should be implemented are through the GitLab issues. It's because having this in Gitter chat would be messy. Only after what and why is agreed, only after then the discussion should be about how it's implemented. About the daemon server, well, it's implemented in FastAPI framework. Just few keywords is async, in RESTful, it's JSON and it's API. Of course, the base is the PostGIS database because in this kind of things it's must. There are 4 tables, database tables, one for areas, which contains information about each area, squares, which contains just area identifier, square identifier, and border geometry of squares. Then the commits, which is inspired by Git or Git. Well, if you change area or change square, you create new commit, and therefore you have the whole history if you need it, and OpenStreetMap users. Map or review square query, like action from the mapper, is implemented as single database query. So you say, I want to map a random square, and it's only one query. This one query will select all available squares to map, then select one of them randomly, then create the commit message, and then return the border geometry. Because it's one query, then there can't be overlapping or something like these issues. Therefore, it's implemented in database. The same for the split area functionality, split big area into the squares, or for a split square if it's too big to map for one mapper. It's written in database scripting language, so it's again some query. In the API. In the API for the commit query, there is implemented since query parameter, so you don't need to load all the commits each time you want the commits from the square or area. You just load the commits, save them, remember the last commit, and then ask since. Therefore, performance things like. Therefore, the performance or bandwidth is better. So daemon client, I'm always saying that it's just proof of concept. It's because I'm not JavaScript developer. I don't know it. I don't like it much. So there are proof of concept. It's only a static web page, and I implemented a really simple JavaScript library to load the data from the server. And of course, the new clients are more than welcome. I think that it would be necessity if this project should came to life to create some new clients. Well, the deploy repository, it's based on Docker. If you want to just run some instance, you change the environment files to specific domain, provide your OpenStreetMap API keys, and just Docker Compose up. I recently added also the another Docker Compose config file for bringing up the clients, so you may have clients on the same domain too. What I like to see in the future, it would be awesome if the Daemon project would be used by some local community of mappers. If somebody is part of the community and using, for example, tasking manager, some kind of old tasking manager or whatever, it would be awesome if you can test this project. It would be nice to start building the community to drive the project. I think that starting from the community of mappers is the good thing. Then I would like to benchmark it to hot tasking manager. I wasn't able to run the tasking manager yet. I'm not giving up. So as soon as I do it, I will benchmark it, but it would be nice if it would be done by some kind of third party. The last button is this kind of profiling refactor loop, which should be done the whole time. Like you find out what is the weak point, refactor the code, enhance it, and so on. So this is all about the presentation, and I would like to show you how does it work in the real world. There is a link to this project, and I would like to show you the JSON manager. Is this one? Its running instance is here. I will authenticate to OpenStreetMap, providing my credentials. Okay. Now Quiff is mapping. Well, how does it look? I have a testing server with changes here. This is the representation, JSON representation of the area in database. And there is the history of changes. I may somehow boost it here. Update the area, it's here. And the history is the previous what was. If I want to, there is a Czech translation. So if I scroll somewhere where it's not Czech translation, I will load the old configuration, update the area. Now it's without the Czech translation. So this is the rollback function of the JSON manager. Creating area is similar, but just you need to provide the GeoJSON file. The second thing I would like to show you is the client, which looks currently like this. There are just 10 areas. I will again authenticate to OpenStreetMap. Okay, I'm here. Now I will show you the North Korea because I tried to upload some big area. So it looks like this. I implemented some kind of map. It's not perfect, but it's at least something. And I will show you how the mapping is done. For example, here is the testing area I uploaded. So again with the map and things like that. So I want to show you that you may just click random square. the ID editor will open. You don't choose the JSON or ID editor because you have the JSON plugin, so you don't need to do that. Welcome. Okay, edit now. So this is square. We are now from the tasking manager. I can leave some message. It's done, for example, ready for review. So this is the history. I can review the recent square, which would be the same square I just marked for a review. So here again, done. This square is completed. I will try to map random square yet and show you, for example, split square functionality. Some small square, I will split square because the square was split. There's commits of the squares. I will go back to the area 7.0, and there are 4 another squares added to this. And one thing I really like is letting the users translate the description, because it's, in my opinion, it's nice to let mappers contribute as much as possible. So I will just put here language and some translation, and the translation should be should, but it's not. So I will load the area again. Yeah, and it's not because I am not connected. I don't know why, but I am losing. Oh, I am, so. No, I think that doing demo is important. So here it is. Yeah, okay. So short demo, the presentation of the Daemon project. Your questions?
Any questions?
Yeah?
Have you been in touch with the task manager people at all?
I'm trying to. Like, I'm always saying something on the GitHub. And they, for example, we have this meeting of Czech and Slovak community, missing maps community. And I provide the feedback and said that there are some issues with validators and performance and things like that. And we have some discussion, but it's kind of, yeah, it will be implemented in the TM4. Yeah, we don't change backend, so we can't do something like that. So, and it ends like this. So, yeah.
Anyone else? No? Then Yuri, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
I have to ask Maria to set up her